It has been a minute. It's long since I did a live stream, and as usual, when you haven't done something for a long period of time, you are going to gamble here and there. But I'm going to give my own story on how I started investing in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Probably by doing that, you are going to get one or two ideas, and if you got interested, you can go and start investing in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. First of all, as I've said, I'm going to give kind of a narrative on how I started investing in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. So if you don't have that patience to hear me moving from how I started, kind of how I got interested into reading, and then I came across the whole idea of investing, and then I decided to go ahead and open a CDS account. So this may be too long for you. Probably you may stay around, or you may skip and watch maybe in a video which I may do next, which may get you interested. So first of all, we need to start how I got into the stock exchange. So I can't recall how I got myself into reading. So I'm one of those individuals who is interested in reading, and I watch a lot of podcasts. I listen to a lot of people either in through YouTube. YouTube is the main platform which I use a lot. So I got into the first individual who I the first speech which kind of influenced me a lot was a speech by Steve Jobs, the commencement speech. And this he did in 2005. So that kind of in a way revolutionized the way I view my life, the way I think about some actions which I take. And that's actually the person I can say outside my parents, outside the individual who I've studied with. That is the individual who I can say influenced me a lot, and my decisions which I make as an adult now. That's the outside person. The late Steve Jobs is the one who influenced me a lot. So by reading, I stumbled into the stock market, and one of the first books which I read, which kind of changed my perspective on investing and the whole academic issue, is Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. And you all understand there's a video which I watched. I don't know this Kenyan. He is normally big in Twitter, but YouTube is also growing. So this is the individual who was saying that, let's say, for example, what Robert Kiyosaki explains in the Rich Dad Poor Dad, those beliefs, those perspectives normally apply in the United States of America or those countries which are developed. You can't bring those beliefs, most of those beliefs, in Kenya and expect to survive. You will be crushed. I tend to agree with that gentleman. I have forgotten his name, but he is also an individual who focuses on the ideas of investment. So he actually said that the ideas which or the ideas which apply in the United States of America may probably not work in Kenya or in African context. So that's the first. That's kind of what I wanted to give a perspective. So I was reading, and then this Robert Kiyosaki's book kind of also influenced me a lot. It is the book which elevated my interest into investing on, and also the whole idea of being employed, and the whole idea of being an investor, and the whole idea of being self-employed. We have this whole idea of getting to own your own business. So Robert Kiyosaki is that individual who I got most of the ideas and most of also some of the beliefs on employment, on starting a business, on being an investor. So through that, I went ahead and opened a CDS account. A CDS account, I opened it in 2018. That's when I opened my CDS account. So this CDS account, I was unable to use it. And the main excuse which I can give why I didn't use my CDS account is probably I had no resources to start putting in the stock exchange market. And that may not be the really excuse. One of the really excuse which I believe kept me not starting investing in the Nairobi Stock Exchange as early as possible or immediately I opened my CDS account in 2018 is because I didn't see I didn't see the I never observed the really change which investing in the stock exchange in the Nairobi Stock Exchange may make into your money. So I never had that first experience. So first of all, if you want to start investing in Nairobi Stock Exchange, the number one thing which you require is a CDS account. And to open a CDS account, you need to go to mostly you need to have a stockbroker. And there is high chances that the bank which you are using, whether it is Equity, KCB Cooperative Bank, we have NCBA Bank, Faida Investment Bank, those may end up being they are also stockbrokers. So you can have a stockbroker with your bank account, and this stockbroker can assist you in accessing stocks of different companies in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. As far as I understand, I do believe the number of listed companies in the Nairobi Stock Exchange are 66 on the currently. Maybe I'm not sure, but I believe there are 66 companies which are listed in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. So we have the likes of Safaricom, we have the likes of Equity, KCB, Cooperative, Bamburi. I believe they have an issue currently. We also have Williamson Tea, Captura Tea, we have Sassin, we have NCPA, we have a lot of companies are listed in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. So, so what actually made me to be more interested now that I had a CDS account? What made me to be so interested in investing in the Nairobi Stock Exchange? Yes, what made me to be really interested or immersed in the Nairobi Stock Exchange? It was last year, that is 2024. I decided to have a bit of shares of KPLC. I bought KPLC. The main reason why I bought KPLC because they were cheap. That's the main reason why I bought KPLC. So on average, I bought 200 shares of KPLC, and on average, I bought those shares at around 1 shilling 79 cents. That's why how much I spent. So there is some fee which you are deducted once you buy those stocks by your stockbroker and some taxes, levies, whatever. So I believe on buying those stocks, the 200 stocks, I didn't spend more than 400 Kenyan shillings. But I just forgot about it. I never updated or I never went ahead and bought any more shares. The next issue or the next shares I bought were Safaricom shares. I just by the way because I didn't look for, let's say, how those two companies have been generating their revenue, whether they have been making profit or not, whether they have some huge debt or whatever, whether they have been giving out the dividends. I really didn't look into these considerations. I just gambled. For the first two companies, that's KPLC and Safaricom, I can actually say that those shares which I bought, 200 shares for KPLC and 100 shares for Safaricom, it was just a gamble. I don't know how it happened, but it was just a gamble. So I bought those shares and I forgot about them. So it is this year when KPLC kind of did its magic. Its shares rose from 1.74 whatever to at currently they are trading at 14 shillings and above. That's the current trading price of KPLC. For me, I just sold those shares at 8 shillings 54 cents, I believe. That's when I sold those shares. So can I say I regret selling those shares? Of course not. I just wanted to kind of test out how it works. That is the stock exchange market, how it works in terms of selling. So I just sold those KPLC shares at the total amount which I garnered from those shares was around 1700 shillings. So I invested not above 400 Kenyan shillings, but the amount which I received from selling those shares was around 1700 shares. So I didn't withdraw this money from my CDS account. I reinvested that money into buying shares of Kengen, and also Kengen at the moment is doing very fine. Also, I promised myself that I'm not going to sell and share, but it is what it is. When Safaricom shares reached at around 28 shillings and some cents, I decided to sell. And I saw Safaricom shares were trading at around 30 shillings, but at the moment I can see it has decreased. It's around 28 shillings per share. So I decided also to go ahead and sell the Safaricom shares, and I added on buying cooperative bank shares. I then also put HF Group shares because the company is doing phenomenal. And also I put some shares CIC insurance shares. So there are some individuals who may argue what made me interested so much in the stock exchange is just because of the magic which happened with KPLC. Imagine I bought those shares for around 1 shilling 70 cents, whatever. So when I bought those shares, I kind of never expected anything because I've never seen these things working. But once I realized that my 1 shilling 70 cents can turn into 8 shillings kind of within a short period of time, because that was a short period of time. Last year up to now, it's like 1 year. So it got me interested to understand more about investing in the stock exchange. So currently, I'm more immersed into understanding the securities exchange, that is the Nairobi Stock Exchange. And since we have some brokers, more especially in Kenya, who can enable you to invest in the foreign markets, more especially in the United States, that's the New York Stock Exchange. I've also got some interest in understanding how the investment in the global market is actually done. So, as I've said, I have a stockbroker, that is the Kingdom Securities, but the one which I'm using, and all of those things which I'm saying, it's not financial advice. Just go out and do your own research. You can find who is the appropriate stockbroker for you. Then you can go ahead and open with them an account. So I have used it Cooperative Bank as my stockbroker, and I also have AIB, I don't know the full name, as my stockbroker. I have some issues with Cooperative Bank, more especially Kingdom Securities, but I hope I'm going to sort out. But they have been a hell. I've gone through hell with with Kingdom Securities, but AIB, whatever Africa, I've used them. They are amazing in terms of response. They were able to open for me an account, so I've started trading with them, and their response is amazing. One thing which I'm kind of not amazed with is immediately you open their app, there's a referral. It's kind of boring, but it is what it is. So for international stocks, I've tried to use ISA. I am sorry for my pronunciation. So I've tried to use ISA, and they were amazing initially, but because you can be able to buy some fractional shares of big companies like Apple, Microsoft, S&P Global, we have Moody's. So those big companies of the United States of America, you can be able to buy their fractional shares. That's a nice thing with ISA. But for A and AIB, whatever stockbrokers, I saw that the least amount which you are required to invest in with them in buying the international stocks, you require 100,000 Kenyan shillings. That's a huge amount for me. I can't afford at the moment, so I decided to go with ISA. And for AIB as a stockbroker, the only thing I use I use their platform to buy Kenyan stocks. They are amazing. Their response is just magic. So that's how I got interested in the stock exchange. It's because KPLC were able to multiply my money from just 1 shillings 70 cents to around 8 shillings whatever. If I could have stayed for long, then I could have made like 2,800 just from investing 400 Kenya shillings in the stock exchange. So that's the magic of investing in the stock market. So it is all, is it about nice things about the stock market? No. I just want to give how I lost some money, or I'm probably going to lose some money in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. So since I was successful by chance by just investing in the Nairobi Stock Exchange by buying KBLC stocks, I decided to go ahead and buy one of the companies which is known as East African Cables. So this East African Cables, as I said, I didn't go into the details of how the company was actually doing financially. So I just was kind of following my own luck or gambling strategy. So I decided to buy also 200 of those shares. Per share, it was around costing around also less than 2 bob. So I bought 200 shares of East African Cables. But after now realizing on how I can do my research on those companies which I'm interested in, this company was actually auctioned, I do believe. I may be wrong, but it has some issues because at the moment you can't buy any shares of East African Cables, or you can't sell any shares of East African Cables. Probably it has been suspended from the Nairobi Stock Exchange. So it's kind of, I'm going to lose some money with East African Cables. There is also their kind of mother company which is known as Transangeli. I believe it's the company, I may be wrong, but it is the company which also got suspended with East African Cables. And the main reason is they probably have a huge debt of Kenya Commercial Bank, and Kenya Commercial Bank decided to kind of auction their property or maybe take them to court. I'm not sure of exactly what is happening with East African Cables. So that is how I'm probably going to lose some money in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, or maybe I may salvage some amount of my cash. So from that experience of East African Cables, I understand a few things about buying stocks in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Number one, at least buy a company which you understand that what it does. For me, I understood that since East African Cables was involved in manufacturing and selling of electric cables, electric wires, those things which are related into the electricity sector, I thought just by guessing on the stars, I decided to buy those stocks because I do strongly believe individuals would not cease to construct. The electric cables are needed for as individuals upgrade their lifestyle, more especially in this developing continent. So I decided to draw some cash, though it was not that huge, but I expected the same magic which occurred with KPLC to occur with East African Cables. But I was wrong, and that has led me to probably lose money in the near future. So I also didn't understand the financial situation of East African cable. So East African cables were struggling financially. That is what I didn't understand. So they were struggling financially. If I could have understood those basics, and there's one app which is so amazing in analyzing the financial structure of various companies, more especially within the global society and also Kenyan stocks. And this app is known as TradingView. So TradingView is an app which I normally use in analyzing my stocks. You can see how the companies are doing, whether it is East African cables, whether it is East Africa Kenya Commercial Bank, I'm sorry, whether it is Cooperative Bank, those companies which are listed in the stock exchange, you can just go and research in the trading view because it has a detailed information about those companies. So if I could have known on how I could do my research, probably I could have escaped this or idea of just gambling with some few coins I have. So what have I also learned in the stock exchange? So I've learned a few things in the stock exchange, more especially in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. There's a great difference if you observe on how the New York Stock Exchange and Nairobi Stock Exchange does. So in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, the graphs are not, even if it's over a long period of time, the graph doesn't seem to be increasing. There's kind of a pair and a pull market, if I may have used those terms appropriately, which occur now and again. You may find, for instance, the Safaricom stocks used to sell at 40 shillings per share, but nowadays the maximum which I've seen occurring, it's around 30, because I just observed it was around 30 shillings. But if you observe the companies like Microsoft, that's of the United States, there are also other companies in the United States which have also gone to zero, even if they had gone into $400 per share, whatever. But if you observe a company, for instance, like Microsoft, even if there are fluctuations which happen on any given time frame, let's say 5 year time frame, but there is a continuous growth in terms of share value of those stocks. But in Kenya, there is really not that growth which occurs over a long period of time. They tend to occur a lot of fluctuations along the way. So that's why if I manage to accrue a huge amount of money from just investing or doing some stuffs which are going to generate me a lot of revenue, maybe I would invest some amount in the New York Stock Exchange for the purpose of growth, because I am kind of assured that there are some companies which in the New York Stock Exchange, their growth is assured over a long period of time as compared to Kenyan stocks. Kenyan stocks, you may find them, they are at 100 shillings, and over a short period of time, they may be trading for 60 shillings for a long period of time, let's say 5 years period. But in the New York Stock Exchange, what I've observed, there is a continuous growth over a long period of time. Like for example, Microsoft used to sell for 400 shillings, and now it's around 500 shillings. Even if it may fluctuate to around 480, but over a long period of time, those shares are going to increase in value, which I haven't observed in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Maybe there are some companies, but that's not what I've learned for the purpose of curiosity for myself. And also for those individuals who may want to understand the whole perspective of investing in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, is you need to invest for the purpose of long term. Don't just invest in Nairobi Stock Exchange just because you want to make some quick cash. Because if you want to make some quick cash in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, I will assure you, you are going to be disappointed. whether it's in Nairobi Stock Exchange, whether it's in New York Stock Exchange, whether it is London Stock Exchange. From what I've read from failures investors, whether it is the likes of Warren Buffett or Buffett, as some individuals may pronounce, we have the likes of Sir Chris Oni, we have the likes of Howard Wanks, Howard Marks, whatever. Those investors who have tried to amass some wealth for their colleagues or their clients, there's one thing which I've learned from them. They invest for the purpose of the long term reason. They are not investing just for the purpose of doing the trading. As always, and as I've observed individuals, those who have really created a lot of money, a lot of wealth on the stock exchange, they have said now and again that investing in the stock exchange is a long term process. If you don't have the stomach to watch your wealth reduce into a half and just hold the stock without panicking, then you should not invest in the Nairobi Stock Exchange or whatever stock exchange market which you are interested to invest. As Peter Lynch said, you need to be one of those individuals who have a stomach to witness your resources, to witness your cash, to witness your portfolio reduce into a half. And he said also that if you really want to create some wealth in the Nairobi Stock Exchange, by diversifying your portfolio, you are assured of always outperforming the likes of bonds, some other investments, whatever it's bank interest, money market fund, in the narrow exchange traded funds, whatever ETFs. So if you have the stomach to wait and if you understand you have done your research to the maximum of your ability, then you are assured of success in the stock exchange. But you need some patience. You don't need to turn your money into, maybe multiply your money by 20 times within a short period of time. If you are thinking of doing that, then the stock exchange is not one of those areas which you should invest. You should look for other platforms, maybe betting, maybe farming, or whatever, where you can create your own wealth. I do believe that's the enough for today, and that's the live stream which I had. I want to kind of give out a perspective on how I got myself interested in the Nairobi Stock Exchange and investing in shares in general. And if you have some questions in the comment section, and also if you have some kind of the things which you may like I to improve on, I like also in the comment section. And if you really like this kind of a live stream, just give it a like. See you in my next one. Not probably tomorrow, the exact time, that is 9:50 to around, not 9:50, 8:50 to around 9:50. I will be doing another live stream also talking about some of the companies which I invested in the Nairobi Stock Exchange and why I decided to invest in those companies. See you in my next one. Have a nice evening.